Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into an ancient philosophy that's making a major comeback. We're talking about Stoicism, and we'll see how it's basically a practical toolkit for navigating all the challenges of modern life. We're going to deconstruct what it really is and how you can apply its core wisdom like right now. So let me just ask you this. When you hear that word stoic, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, it probably conjures up a pretty specific image, right? Someone who's maybe a little bit like a robot, completely unflappable, and maybe kind of boring? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. Philosopher William B. Irvine points out this crucial distinction. On one side, you have stoic with a lowercase s. That's the stereotype. Glum, emotionless, just kind of gritting their teeth through life. But on the other side, you have stoic with a capital S. And that is a whole different ballgame. That's a practitioner of a vibrant philosophy, someone who isn't about suppressing feelings, but about managing them wisely to find a state of calm.
Okay, so if the goal isn't to become some kind of emotionless statue, what are the ancient Stoics actually aiming for? What's the grand prize in this whole quest for a good life?
The target isn't really happiness, because that can be pretty fleeting. No, it's this incredibly powerful concept, equanimity. Think of it as this unshakable inner peace, a mental resilience that lets you stay calm and composed no matter what crazy thing life throws at you. It's like building your own internal fortress.
And this really gets to the heart of it. Stoicism is not anti-emotion. It's anti-destructive emotion. The goal isn't to just get rid of all your feelings. It's about being strategic. You want to minimize the stuff like envy and rage, while at the same time, you're actively trying to cultivate things like joy, delight, and a real sense of awe.
This isn't some new age trend. It's a philosophy with a rich history stretching back over 2,300 years. It started way back in ancient Athens, where this guy Zeno taught from a public porch, a stoa, which, is where the name comes from. Later, it was adopted and fine-tuned by the Romans, who were all about its practical, real-world uses. And today, we're living through a full-blown Stoic renaissance as people are figuring out just how relevant these ancient ideas are for our chaotic modern lives.
All right, let's get into the toolkit. The Romans were all about practical application. So here are 3 powerful Stoic techniques that you can start using today. The first tool, I got to admit, sounds a little pessimistic, but it's actually one of the most powerful gratitude hacks ever invented. It's called negative visualization. The process is almost deceptively simple. First, you pick something you probably take for granted, your health, your family, your morning coffee. Second, for just a few moments, vividly imagine your life without it. Really let yourself feel that brief pang of loss. And then third, come back to the present moment and just feel that wave of appreciation for the fact that it's still here. And this isn't just some abstract thought experiment. William Irvine talks about doing this regularly, contemplating what life would be like without his wife, which leads him to this really profound realization of just how lucky he is. The result? Instead of taking her for granted, he finds himself filled with gratitude. It's a way to short-circuit our natural tendency to always want more, and instead just appreciate what we already have. Okay, the second technique really gets to the heart of Stoic psychology. It's based on this simple but profound idea. It's not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments and our interpretations of those events. So the ancient Stoics talked about a dichotomy of control, what you can control versus what you can't. But Irvine offers this great modern update, a trichotomy. There are things you have zero control over, like the weather. There are things you have some control over, like maybe the outcome of a tennis match. But that final slice, that's the most important one. The one thing you have total control over is your own mind, your judgments, your character, your reactions. So how do you actually apply this? Okay, let's say someone insults you. The event itself is just words. The real power lies in that middle step, your judgment. You can frame it as a devastating attack, or you can choose a different frame. You can ignore it, use humor, or even feel some empathy and think, wow, they must be having a really bad day. The power is always, always in the frame you choose. Our final technique is a powerful mental reframe that transforms any obstacle from being a problem into an opportunity. This is a perfect example. William Irvine meticulously planned a trip to New Zealand, only to catch COVID on day 2. The default reaction for most of us, this is a disaster, my trip is ruined. But his Stoic training kicked in, and his immediate reframe was, this is going to be a great story to tell.
He didn't see a catastrophe. He saw a test.
Now, to make this easier, the Stoics used this cool psychological device. Imagine a group of Stoic gods, and you don't worship them. Think of them more like tough personal trainers. They send you challenges, a flat tire, a difficult colleague, a ruined vacation, not because they're cruel, but because they want to see what you're made of. Every setback becomes a test designed to build your resilience, your competence, and your strength. So where does all this lead? I mean, these practices, gratitude, framing events, building resilience, they aren't just for dealing with daily annoyances. They're actually training for something much, much bigger, the final test. And the Stoics were absolutely unflinching about this. They saw all of life as a preparation for its inevitable end. Now, this wasn't meant to be morbid at all. They believed that acknowledging mortality is precisely what gives life meaning, urgency, and value. It's the ultimate deadline that forces us to focus on what truly matters.
This idea is just perfectly captured in the story of the Stoic philosopher Julius Canis. So he was being led to his execution, and he was observed to be calm, even curious. When a friend asked him what was on his mind, he said his goal was to carefully observe the process of his own soul departing. He saw his own death not as a terror to be feared, but as a final phenomenon to be studied.
So ultimately, the question Stoicism leaves us with isn't really about fear. It's about preparation. If life is the training ground for the final exam, then everything we do today, how we handle frustrations, how we cultivate joy, is all part of that practice. The only question left is, how are you preparing?